So first of all, we're going to work on kind of building a character in Maya. And before we do, I'm just going to create a plane. For those of you that don't have the plane, you can go into Create, Polygon, and then you can do Interactive Creation. You can do it for any of these. But that allows me to basically go through here and simply use a plane and move it accordingly, like so. To make, you can see the X and Y here. To make this simple, I'm just going to use this image I found real quick here. And I'm looking at the image dimensions. And this is just a quick fix. So this image is, let's see here. This image is 30, and we'll say 0.46. And then we'll go here, and this is going to be 19.51. And I just measured those dimensions right there. Then what I'm going to do is, and I think I can do this in Maya. Let me double check. So I can't do that in Maya, so then I have to do it the other way. I'm going to open the Hypershade. I'm going to... let's see here. I'm just going to use an Arnold shader here. We're going to use let me type it in here. Standard surface. So I'm going to just use a standard surface, and with that standard surface, I'm going to go into the color map here. We're going to use a file, and then in that file, I'm just going to add back to the desktop, and that file is called 1.jpg, and so it's going to give me this massive thing here like this. And now with these, I know that they're lined up accordingly. I can then select my plane, right click on here, assign material to viewport, and I should be good to go. I just need to show that material like so. And so you can see here that this is kind of works accordingly. Then what I can do is I can either assign a plane to it, or I can assign kind of however I want. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees. And something like so. And then I'm going to scale this vertically, rotate it a little bit more here. There we go. And so once that's in there, relatively clean. So this is my map now. To make life simpler, I'm not going to cut this around. I'm simply just going to rotate this up into the plane like so. Go to the attribute editor, and I think let's go all by type, history. Okay, so now with this vertically like so, I've got my planes that I want. So I'm just going to do a multi-cut, and I'm just going to start cutting my shapes out. So I've got front image right there. I've got the side image right there. I've got another side, and then I've got the back. So I'm just going to use these images real quick, and I'm just going to grab these out and hit delete. I do not need that one, or that one. That's the 3/4 view. So now with these 4 images in place, I'm going to move this one backwards. That's my front view. This one I'm going to rotate 90 degrees. Something like that. Make sure she's facing the right direction. Yep. And then grab this one, and I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees. And then this one, I'm going to rotate 180. And I'm not being precise about this. We can punch in numbers, but I'm not too worried about this because I've done this a couple of different times. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. You can see it's leaning a little bit. If you want to fix the lean, you can fix them. Not that big a deal again. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to, with my object selected, I'm going to display polygons and backface culling. Actually, let's select display polygons and backface culling. Now, what backface culling should do, I think it might have to be in object mode. What backface culling might have to do is, or what does, is basically deletes the back side of that. So it's like a one-way mirror. Okay. So now with that in place, I need to make sure things line up properly. But ultimately, this is a decent start for a working file. I've got my front here. I've got my back here. So this is my front Z. I can always change this one into like the back view here. So, or I can rotate these around. It doesn't matter how I'm doing this. So now with that in place, then what you have to do is you have to start with building like your mesh. So I'm just going to grab a cylinder mesh here, something like this, and that's going to be my rough shape. I do not need 20 faces because the more geometry I have, the less that I have to manipulate. So I'm going to do about 6. And I'm going to actually, let's see here. So we're going to do this a couple of different ways. So the first way, I'm going to go to object or face mode here. I'm going to grab these two faces and I'm just going to move them like so. So no big deal. Back to object mode, grab my object here. All right. So that's roughly the right area. That's roughly the right area. And I'm just going to start off with a couple of these. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to clone it up once. I'm going to shift and clone it off to the side here. And so starting with this one here. And if you keep selecting this, you can always go in and create a new object mode for that layer. And then there, now I can't select it. So with that, I can grab this here. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to just move it over. I'm going to grab this one here and I'm going to start using the wireframe to start matching up things. And it's basically just kind of what you have to do. So I'm going to go to the attribute editor, polycylinder. I'm going to add about that many shapes to it, and I'm going to go into vertices and simply start pulling up. Now I'm going to try and line this up with my character, the outfit that she's got going on, so that gives me kind of a good edge loop, or at least a good start for it. So we can go there, and I'm going to just turn on X-ray here. So that's going to give me the ability to kind of go through and see. So because this is already a circle, you can already see that it's starting to line up pretty well. And I don't have a lot of shaping to do. I don't have to worry about the form of this. And if you move things accordingly, you can scale things like so. And my goal is to shrink and scale this to meet the needs of the kind of character design here. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multi-cut, and I'm going to hold in Control, grab that, and that gives me a little bit more geometry to kind of flesh out what I need. So with that in mind, then I'm going to jump over to the other side here. Go into object mode here and just pull these back. Go here. And shading, go to X-ray, go to vertices, and basically kind of start moving this accordingly. So I can move this forward, move it back, and this is ultimately just the simple process of doing one thing over and over and over again. And that's all this is just basically lining things up and kind of piecing things together. So you can see here that looks good, and then let's move this over, and so there is my edge here, and so you can see that is my start of my leg, and you can see it looks pretty solid. I don't have to worry about forming things out. I can add more detail if I want, but at this level I'm just looking for simplicity. I'm going to go into face mode, and I'm going to grab other things, and I'm going to just hit delete, and this is just okay. So I've got the bottom deleted, and I need this deleted too. Alright, with that deleted, then what I can do is start working on the torso. So I'm going to go back here, go and let's go to object mode, so I don't need to work with that. I'm going to grab this piece here, and I'm going to basically bring it all the way over like so. Now it's centered here, and that's perfectly fine, but I'm going to add in like I don't need, so here, so I'm going to go to face here. I'm going to delete these two faces, and I'm going to delete this here too. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to just the edge here, grab the edge and move that inward to about center. I'm going to go to vertices, I'm going to grab here, and I'm going to move that up like so. And I'm going to actually do the underwear kind of separately, and I'll show you the reason I'm going to do the underwear separately is because it will allow me to basically, how to explain it, I'll kind of merge things together a little bit better that way. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to multi-cut, and I'm going to add in, I think, 1, 2, 3, and then with that I'm just going to actually move these inward like so. And so there is my torso from that side, and then I'm going to go back here, zoom in, go to object mode, move this forward, and go to object mode. Let's see here, and then just start going through and basically moving this like so. Alright, and I'm just trying to get, so I'm measuring this right here, and that is the torso front, this is the torso middle, and then here is the torso back. And I can bring that up here if I want. Not too worried about it. But basically my goal is to basically size this to get kind of the overall kind of feeling here. Now it's not lining up, and I'm not going to worry about the breasts. And I'm doing the breasts because it's harder to model a female than it is male, simply because of the breasts. People really have issues with that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of form this out like so. And so that's my kind of torso, if you will. I'm going to add in some multi-cuts here. I'm going to add in one here, holding in control. I'm going to add one here, holding in control. And I'm going to add one here, too. And so with this, I can just slightly pull out that. And with this, I'm going to pull out this a little bit more. And then over here, I'm going to bring that out. And so you can see it follows the rib cage. And because I've done this on a quarter view, like so, you can see that it should relatively kind of work with my scene. I can go in and pick the face mode here, and then just basically hit delete. Hit delete. Okay. So I'm deleting that, and then I'm zooming over here. And I'm deleting the bottom half too. So now with that in place, I can connect these two together very simply. And it's just a matter of starting to form things together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the edge mode here. Oops, caps lock off. I'm going to go to edge mode here, and I'm going to add another edge loop. So I'm going to go multi-cut, and I'm going to add an edge loop here, and I'm going to add an edge loop here. And what that is going to give me is going to give me the kind of panty scene here. So I'm just going to grab these two here together, shift right click, bridge. Go to multi-cut, add that in there, and go into that edge and pull that down. Now if you can't judge the way you're pulling that down, I'm going to pull it down like that. And let's go into vertex, and let's just narrow that a little bit here like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in go to edge mode here, go to multi-cut, and then add one here, and then add oops, undo. How did I do that? There we go. Go back here and adding in an edge loop there, and then what I'm going to do is, so you can see here, here's my vertices. I'm just going to kind of bring that like so, and I'm going to bring that down like so. So that is my loop here. And so with that in mind, I need to start matching up geometry here. So matching the geometry is matching faces, 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3. I've got more holes than I need here. So this is 6 and this is 8, which is fine because what we can do is we can kind of reroute some of this geometry. We can reroute it through the simple fact of bringing some of this inward like that. So I'm going to go to object mode, and I'm going to grab these two objects. I'm going to go to mesh, and I'm going to combine these two objects. And then from there, I'm going to start kind of attaching things together or bridging them. So I'm going to go here, and again, bridge. That's not the right one, so let's try this again. Here, and why is that? Alright, so it's not bridging properly, so if it doesn't bridge properly, then what we can do is simply grab this piece here and go to vertices, go to merge target weld, and we're just going to snap these in place like so. So I'm going to grab, go to edge here. Let's try this again. So that bridges that together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into vertices here. I'm going to go into this mode here. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to merge the center. So that's going to give me that. So you can see here that this basically lines up like so. So let's try and grab these two here. And let's merge vertices to center. And I'm going to grab this and do the same thing. So now we have one empty hole here, not that big a deal. I can also grab some of this stuff and start forming it a little bit better. And then basically let's go into edge and let's bridge. Ooh. Something got broke here. Let's see when that got broke. Alright, so I'm out of undos. So if something like this gets broke and you're stuck, go to vertices, shift right click, let's see if we can detach it once. So by detaching it, that brings things apart, so we can detach that. And you can see that all of this stuff needs to be detached here. Alright, so grab that. Let's merge the center. This looks like it had a problem here, so let's merge the center and grab that, merge the center, and merge that, merge that. All right, now we go back and fix. And this stuff happens. I mean, if you're running through things, it basically will, you just rush and things happen here. So let's not collapse the edges here. Let's bridge that. Go to vertices here, grab these two, merge to the center, merge that to the center, merge that, oops, and something is, oh, I see what happened. Okay, so here is something that needs to be fixed. So instead of this quick simple fix is just to make another cut. Go into edge mode here. Control backspace will delete that edge. Bring this forward. And go into vertices and merge to the center. And so now I have just 2 holes left here. Go to object mode, or sorry, go to edge mode. I can grab that edge. I can fill hole that way, grab that edge, and fill hole that way. And so there is the start of my body. And then I still need to fix this stuff here, but this is pretty simple to fix. I can just grab these and start pulling them up here, and kind of rearranging them to what I need to do. Or at this point, I can even kind of delete these faces and kind of start from scratch. Either way is fine. But this is the process that you have to kind of follow through. You know, you're going through and each one by one and forging in kind of a feeling or torso. Now, if I hit 3, it will norm itself so that you get a basic representation of what the body looks like. So you can already see that my body is really kind of smooth and that. So I'm basically going back and just going up and cleaning up things. But you have to do things one step at a time. Like having a tube with flat geometry on there, like none of my geometry is flat. I mean, and when I notice things like this, so here you can see that this is starting to get flat. I need to go through and round this out. You know, I need to go through and basically move things around so that they have more form, and they're not bunched together in a cluster of geometry. And that is ultimately, like, your goal is to take this little geometry as possible and give it the most amount of form possible. And you can see here, and just simply doing that, just rounding some faces out, when I do norm it, I get a much tighter kind of flow going on. And if geometry starts spider webbing like this, you can tell something's wrong with it. So those are things that you need to kind of follow. Now you can see the edge loop come up and move over here. I can also start redirecting this geometry back in here to basically create more of that edge flow or that loop. And so I need to go through and kind of build up things like that. All right. All right, so next, let's work on hands. So basically going back here, with this in place, I'm going to go into object mode. I'm going to grab here. And because the model is moved down like this, I'm just going to conform it to that and then rotate it. So ultimately, we're just going to go into the face mode here. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to do this willy-nilly here. So I'm going to multi-cut this up here, multi-cut that up there, and being in face mode here. Come on here, face mode. All right, being in face mode, I'm just going to delete all these faces, and I'm going to delete all these faces. Just saves me time from selecting things. I'm going to grab these right here, and Creative Cloud is giving me a nightmare here, so we're just going to deal with that for a second. But I'm just going to grab this, I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to do about the wrist, like so. And with that in mind, then what I'm going to do is start adding some vertices here, multi-cut, 1, 2, 3, go to vertice, grab this, move it over a little bit, and you can see that things don't line up properly, and that's okay. I just want that general shape and feeling. So like this here, I can scale this down, and if you're working on a male, it's going to give you better more definition, so you'll notice more like muscle mass. You need to kind of achieve that. Then we are going to go here, and I'm just going to move this all forward here. So like this. And I'm going to go to back to vertice, and I'm just going to line things up again. So this moves over, this moves like so, but I'm going to bulk that up a little bit. Here's my elbow, move that over. And grab this and move it roughly like so. So you can kind of go in and tweak, but ultimately that is kind of the overall kind of feeling I need. So you can see that there's some geometry in here that we need to kind of adjust. And I'm going to move this slightly down. That's going to bulk that out. And then I'm going to add another multi-cut around here. And then I'm going to grab this and kind of bring that around. So just so as you can see, like so. Then what I'm going to do is grab the object level, rotate 90 degrees or roughly, and then move that up to about like so. So there is this right now, and we know that this is 6 sides, so I'm just going to kind of move this back like so. So we know this is 6 sides, so if I do something accordingly, so I'm going to go to object mode. I'm going to go to object mode on this though, and I'm going to clean up these vertices. So we have kind of a mess going on here, which is okay, but we want to clean up some of that mess. And you can just see it's not super hard. It's just a matter of like moving things around. There's that. Let's move this one. And you can see that if things have broken apart, you can go back in and fix them. And here's this. And it looks like so I'm just going to move like so. And that looks all good. And so I'm just going to grab, let's see, these 2 verts right here, merge together. Grab these 2, do the same. Grab this. G. Okay, so this is all good like that. And then I'm going to bring this up a little bit. And then you can see here, I need 6 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to grab this and merge that together. So then I can go into the face here and the face here and basically hit delete there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to object mode, grab these 2, edit mesh, combine, and then from there I can start bridging some of these things together. So I'm going to go into edge, I'm going to grab this edge here and this edge there and shift bridge. Bam, bam, bridge. And like so. And bridge. And bridge. Bridge. And bridge. So there is my full kind of torso. I'm going to go into this and I'm going to manipulate the geometry. so that this geometry basically lines up with kind of everything that's else that's going on. So you can see here I'm moving things, like tightening things up a little bit here so the rib cage isn't so boxy. I'm going to bring this down a little bit here. And this is where we can start putting in edge loops. What edge loops will do is help with animation. And I can also kind of start building on that. Now, edge loops for this particular aspect is pretty simple. We can simply go into what we want to do is we want to basically multi-cut. And you can see here that this is already starting to form a pictorial. So what I'm going to do here is basically start cutting in like this. And this is going to go all the way around. And what that does is that creates the collarbone area. And then I'm going to go in a vertice, and I'm not going to worry about manipulating that geometry yet, but I'm going to move this over here. Sometimes I hate, there we go. So I'm going to move that over here. And so with that in mind now, what I can do is start bringing this up here. So a simple way to do that, I've already got my undercut here. A simple way to do that is let's cut from here to here, like so. And then we're going to cut from here to this, like that. And then this is the same thing. I'm going to bring this up into geometry like that. And I'm going to bring this up into geometry like this. So now with that in mind, I've got my loop coming here, and I'm just going to bring that up a little bit. Probably back a little bit more. So with that in mind, now I just need to play some cleanup here. So I'm going to go into edge mode. The first thing is to make everything quads. Control backspace that. Grab this here, and as you can see, it basically allows me to create a little bit more flow here. So I think what I'm going to do is just merge this to the center here. And so this is all quads, this is quads, and it's quads under here. The only thing is I've got a triangle right here. And that is actually, we can redirect. So we can go into multi-cut here and redirect this up. Now, a lot of this seems like it is ultimately control backspace to delete. A lot of it seems like it's starting to bunch up here, and that's something that we don't want happening. So I'm just going to start blending some of this a little bit apart here. And you can see that that makes that front look good. We're going to grab the vertices here and just basically kind of center them so we get more of that radial kind of feeling. And then we've got our shoulder muscles. So that's looking good. Let's go up into edge mode again. Grab this one. Shift collapse to center. Grab that one. Control backspace it right there. And let's go control backspace. Control backspace there. And then the only one we have to do is redirect this right here. So we're going to multi-cut, bam, bam, all the way up here like that. And then control backspace that out. And now we have our kind of edge loops going on. Now, the thing is, anytime you do something like this, you need to reform it because you can see that I'm getting kind of flat areas here. And it's just, sometimes it's as simple as just grabbing a piece here and moving it up and rounding some things out. So you can see here that this is starting to turn into the neck here. Grabbing this and then we can start going in the edge here and grab some of this edge, pull this out a little bit, grab this, pull that out, and so there is our neck range, and we can slowly start going into the edge mode, and we can grab some of these edges here, and just by pulling them up a little bit more, you get that little shelf for your collarbone. And we want to line it up with our picture, of course. But when I hit 3 on the keyboard, you can already start seeing how the mesh starts smoothing together pretty nicely. Going back to 1. All right, next, with that in mind, then what we're going to do is we're going to work on a head here. All right, one final thing for the torso. I'm going to add a breast in here. The obvious choice is to go with a sphere. The problem with a sphere is the geometry here. So if we go sphere, the problem with it is you have to contend with all of those triangles and all that geometry. So it's actually better off if you create a cube here, no divisions of it at all, and then we're just going to try and keep it same roughly size all the way through. And then if we simply go in and go into mesh, and we're going to smooth it, and that will basically create a more a rough sphere which will fit our geometry. And you just basically pull that point up like so, and we're just going to focus in on that. And then so that point here is your rough estimate of your facing. And then basically we're going to hit delete. And now we're going to go to object mode. We're going to go over to our figure here, and I'm going to hit V, and I'm just going to snap it, kind of rough it in place here. Then I can go in here like so, and it's still roughed in place, and so all I'm going to do is scale it to be the size that I need roughly, and I'm going to, you can rotate it, so there's different theories on this whole thing, but we can move this accordingly. And then what I'm going to do is go back into here, focus in on this, and then we're going to rotate it, not that vertice, we're going to rotate the whole object, and we're going to just rotate it like this. And so it just needs to match the photo accordingly, and then we're going to connect it. So we're going to go back up here, and with that in place, I've got 8 sides here, and come on here. There we go. I've got 8 sides here, so I'm going to, if I delete more geometry here, so if I delete 2 faces, 1 and 2, that will be 6, and that will give me kind of the geometry to start with. From there, what I can do is I can either add more geometry to it or create edge looping. There's a number of different ways to do it. And so what I'm going to do, make it really simple, I'm just going to add an edge loop here, and I'm going to add an edge loop here. Now again, we should go back in and round out our edges as we cut things, as we kind of manipulate things. You can see that just doing something simple like that kind of makes things work well. So then from there, it's just a matter of going into object mode, selecting the breast, combine it, and start basically putting it together. So with this, I'm going to keep the main shape, but if I go into vertice here and I go shift right click, target weld tool, I can grab this, move it over, grab that and move it over, grab that and move it over, and you can start seeing I'm going to grab this over here, and grab this and kind of put it, let's grab this, and it's not seeing it, so then we just go into like so, and grab that over here, grab that and put it over here, and then grab this and move it down like so. So you can kind of see I've just kind of moved some things, basically just kind of move this over like so. This can kind of go up here like that, and then this can kind of come down here like this. And I can actually add in more of an edge loop if I want to basically define it a little bit more. It depends if you're going to wear like a sweater or something like that. And it just basically kind of depends on how you are going to be using, whether you're modeling something nude or you're modeling someone in a push-up bra or a bikini, just matters of kind of which way you're going with things here. And so just a matter of kind of forming things back out and then looking at your mesh. It's basically a good start for a rough mesh, and we can again add more loops in there and do things accordingly.